We're now on session 6. That's your quiescent and guttural letters. How would you like to read the objectives, please? So it's important for us to know something about quiescent and guttural letters so that they will bring no surprises for us when we meet them. The quiescent letters, the aleph, hey, vav, yod, are weak letters, so much so that at times they lose their value as consonants and become quiescent or silent. They're not pronounced. When do they lose their value? At the end of a syllable. When situated at the beginning of a syllable, they retain their value as consonants, but when they end the syllable, they lose their value so that they simply blend with the preceding vowel. An example here is Yeshmael. If you observe the ayin and the aleph there, so when it's pronounced, it's like it's one syllable already, Yeshmael. And then another example is Reshet, which means beginning. Reshet, the first syllable in there, aleph loses its value. Another instance is prefixes. The addition of prefixes may cause a vocalized aleph to lose its value and become silent. So an example is Lamed plus Elohim becomes Le Elohim, and then at the end it becomes Le Lohim. Would you please insert a holem or an O to the Lamed, please? So on the board, put a holem on the Lamed of Elohim. So that's for your quiescent. At least when you see them occurring and no vowel at all, you know that this is one of their characteristics. Let's now consider the gutturals. You have your gutturals aleph, hey, kate, ayin, and resh. What are their characteristics? Number one, the gutturals prefer A-class vowels. This is due to the fact that the guttural letters and the A-class vowel sounds are made in the back of the throat. This preference for A-class vowels is very evident when a guttural is the final or last letter of a word. If this guttural is preceded by a long vowel that is not an A-class vowel, a forty patak, so the words there is forty patak, must be inserted between this long vowel and guttural. So you have their veruak and transliterated veruak. I'd like for you to please insert a forty patak between the vav and the kate here. So veruak. This is your forty patak, and then it's transliterated this way. So vav, and then your shiva resh, and then you, and then elevated a, and then your kate. Number two, the gutturals prefer compound shiva and not simple shivas. This compound shiva is usually a hatef patak. So you see the example there in Kalom. So they prefer a compound shiva. The guttural aleph is special case though in that it prefers the vowel sigol in the corresponding compound shiva. So it's hatef sigol. So you see the form in there, hatef sigol. An example here is with the Elohim, God, referring to God. Number three characteristic, the gutturals cannot be doubled. This leaves a preceding short vowel open and unaccented. To solve this problem, the preceding vowel is lengthened. This is called compensatory lengthening. So we missed compensatory lengthening in an earlier session. So let's look at the example. If the preceding vowel is a patak, it is lengthened to a kametz. Look at sar, meaning prince. If you add im, that would be princess. So look at the patak below sar, below the sin, it becomes a kametz because it has to lengthen. Sar plus im, the resh cannot be doubled, so that the vowel before the resh has to be lengthened. So now you have your sarem. This is one syllable, and that would be your second syllable as well. If the preceding vowel is a hirik, it would be lengthened to tsere. If the preceding vowel is a kibbutz, it would be lengthened to holem. So how do you memorize this one? What would be a mnemonic aid to these gutturals and their characteristics? So they prefer A-class vowel, they prefer compound shiva, and then they cannot be doubled. I memorize this in this way. So guttural letters, including resh, prefer A-class vowels, and then compound shiva, and then they don't double. So I would put D in there and then a negative, so they don't double. So these are characteristics. Guttural letters, including resh, prefer A-class vowels, compound shiva, and they do not double. So these are ways to, this is one way to memorize or remember the characteristics of guttural letters. Let's look at the inseparable prepositions on definite nouns with articles that have irregular pointing. When an inseparable preposition is prefixed to a word that has the article, hey disappears in the preposition takes the pointing of the article. But when the article has irregular pointing due to the presence of a weak letter, this irregular pointing is retained by the preposition. So we have a regular example. You have lamed plus hamelek, then you have lehamelek, and then lamelek. And then for the guttural irregular, if you have a, like for instance, ayan here, lamed and hey added to ayan, so what happens? You have lamed plus ha'ir, and then lehair, and the final result would be lair. So the shiva becomes a kametz under lamed. So we have seen quiescent letters, and then your guttural letters, and then your inseparable prepositions on definite nouns with articles that have irregular pointing. For your assignment, do exercises 6.6c 1 to 5. So let's look at that one. So again, this time you will be translating, not transliterating. Okay, 6.6c. So this would be, again, you have 5 examples there. You're to translate these 5 examples, but I'm using number one again as an example. Your assignment is 1 to 5, but I'll give number 1 as an example. So you have yashab there, you memorize that. Recognize, identify, maybe what can help is identify the verb and maybe the noun, and then the direct object here, prepositions are present. So in yashab, that's the verb. Is the subject here. You have your article hey, and then you have preposition bait, and then arets here. So the people dwelt in the land or in the earth. I'd rather have in the land in here. Okay, into your, as to your vocab, let's choose 5 words. So on page 66, your first would be your adama, which means ground or earth, and then number 2 is anashim, men. 3 is derek, which means road or way. The way I memorized that for a long, so that I can remember it until now, is I would say I use it in a sentence, the word in a sentence, direct the way. So direct the way. And then you have your ear, so that would be city, and then ra'av, hunger or famine. So these are your 5 words: adama, anashim, derek, ear, and then ra'av. Thank you.